funny background. How'd you get started in comedy?
Well, comedy, I always loved stand up. I was a funny kid in school. I kind of used comedy as in verbal, I should say, protection or defensive measures, because I was a fat kid and people would tease me in school. And right about sixth grade, I was at Raymar Junior Academy, and I learned that I could talk about people, and that worked as a defensive measure. So that's when, kind of how I got started in really recognizing that I was funny. And then when I got to college, I was also at the same time I was a master barber and hairstylist, and I put on a hair show in Savannah, Georgia, my hometown. And within that hair show, I had a couple of comedians that went up. And one of the comedians who was on that event, he came up to me afterwards and he was like, "Hey man, you put together that event pretty well." He said, "I wonder if you could manage me." And I was like, cocky. I'm 21, 22 years old. I'm like, "Sure, yeah, I can manage you." And so he hired me as his manager, talent manager, and I messed up every deal that he had. Literally he had stuff that was pending. The only thing I had to do was close it, and I messed that up. And he fired me, and he told me, a guy named J.C. Falk, and he told me, he said, "Man," he said, "Ak," he said, "you're funny," he said, "but you're a horrible manager." And he said, I'm firing you. And he said, "and I'm taking you to a comedy club." And literally the next Tuesday night, he took me to a comedy club on open mic night called the Comedy House Theater in Savannah, Georgia. I went on stage, did 5 minutes, and fell in love.
So the person that fired you gave you a new career.
He literally did. He one of the most gracious firings I've ever had in my career. But he did. He fired me and literally took me to a comedy club.
Okay, and what year was this?
That was 1993.
Okay. Wow, that was 23 years ago.
Yeah, that was.
Okay. Okay, so from there, that's when you started doing stand-up?
That's when I started doing stand-up, and I opened mic for probably 2 years. It might have been a year and a half before I got an actual paid gig. My first paid gig was opening up for Don D.C. Curry in Augusta, Georgia. It was $75. Never forget it. That $75 seemed like a whole bunch of money. And I drove from Savannah to Augusta, did 15 minutes, and for $75, that was my first time being paid, which made me a professional comedian. You're not really a professional until you get paid at it.
So from there, how did you go from Savannah to Columbia?
Well, over the next few years, I kind of bounced around the comedy club circuit, doing a lot of comedy clubs and writing for other comedians and even writing a screenplay. And kind of within that whole time period, I would always be touring and going to do radio. I came to Columbia a few times and did the NCO Club in Columbia, South Carolina, as well as the Comedy House Theater here in Columbia. And when I would come here, I would go do the morning show. I would sit in on the morning show, and the host on the Big DM was a brother named Curtis Wilson. And I always had a good time sitting in with Curtis. Curtis was always a good brother, and he would always let me stay extra time, which would help me sell tickets to my comedy show. And he always said, "Man, you're easy to do radio with. You're a comic that you're funny, but you can also talk and not try to be telling jokes in every second." And so when he needed a comedian or a co-host for his morning show, he suggested me. And a brother named Mike Love, who was the program director at the time, courted me to come to Columbia. He brought me to Columbia, put me up in a hotel, and had me on the air for a few days. And at the end of that time period, he offered me the co-host position on the Big Dion Morning Show with Curtis Wilson and Lori Mack. And that's how I wound up moving my family to Columbia.
Okay. Okay. So you're a radio host and you're still doing comedy gigs.
Now.
So you were still doing comedy as well as the radio back then.
Right. Yeah, I was doing comedy and radio, and as well as I was writing for. By that time, I was writing for, I believe it was Showtime at the Apollo. There, I was a monologue writer as well.
Okay. Okay. So what year was that when you came to Columbia?
I came to Columbia in 2003.
Okay. Okay. So kind of go over some of the things you've been some of the events you've done over the past 13 years.
Wow, past 13 years. Well, I got fired from radio. Radio, you get fired. You don't. Your contract. My contract was up, and by that time, I really got really connected with Columbia. Had really liked where we were living. I had joined a great church. It's the same church I'm still a member of, Right Direction Christian Center, and really had a true spiritual awakening and growth in my career has shifted along with that. So then my focus became the ministry of comedy and really focusing on, how comedy can be utilized as a ministry tool. And ironically, I shifted. I fired my agent, fired my managers, and I hired my wife as my manager, which was the last thing you really want to do, professionally speaking, because my wife was a novice. She had never managed anybody. I fired her. She became my manager. At literally 2 days after I fired my agents, I got hired for 2 other TV shows. On one phone call, no agents, no lawyers, got the money that I wanted. Didn't even have to negotiate for it. So that kind of really kind of jump started several years of writing opportunities, which tallied up to about 325 original television episodes that as credits, as writing credits, writing for different TV shows and award shows, working, living in Columbia. Sometimes I even have to leave town to even take the assignment, and then several tours that came out of that, several different comedy tours. I toured for several years with Pastor Creflo Dollar, and then I wound up signing with the label, his record label, and then was writing for Chris Tucker during that time. Was writing for Monique during that time as kind of like their joke writers, well, collaborators, I should say. And then what else happened in that? BET Awards. I'm trying to think, because that's a lot's happened in 13 years. Oh, did a national syndicated radio show, and really kind of jumped off which is what we're focusing on now, which is our Rebirth of Comedy brand, which has been one of the greatest and most wonderful challenges of my life. Extremely challenging, but at the same time, definitely a wonderful experience.
Okay. So kind of go on to what kind of makes you different.
Stand up wise?
Yeah.
I think my perspective, I'm a 45-year-old black man, and I'm a Christian. So my perspective comes from that. My point of view comes from that. So that's where all my jokes come from. That. I'm also a husband and I'm a father, and so my material kind of is shaped around my wife and being married for almost 21 years, and then having 5 children, and the wonderful challenges of raising now having adult children, young adult children, and teenagers. So that's my perspective, and I think that the difference is I think that's my point of view, which is where my jokes come from, which I guess makes me stand out in many ways. All my material, of course, is clean, and I really write with a ministerial focus, meaning I want anything that I say to uplift you and encourage you, while it's preferably hilariously funny. So I think that's a lot of times, I know in comedy a lot of times it's just about getting the joke, get the joke. That's not my total focus, although it's mandatory that I be funny.
Okay, so what are kind of your long-term goals in terms of comedy?
Long-term goals? My main focus now is on producing and directing. We're in post-production right now on a documentary film on a South Carolina living legend, Coach Taft Watson, who is the most winningest coach in South Carolina history. I co-produced it with my wife, the Coach Taft Watson's family, as well as a young lady named Stacy Davis and her mother, Christine Davis. We really came together to produce this documentary film. They approached me about it like 2 years ago, and it took a while to get off the ground, but we shot this year. And then we are now editing, and we're have a schedule of a Father's Day 2017 release. So writing and producing, I'm really, really enjoying the process of writing and producing and directing now, and like never before. And I'm not in this project at all because it's a documentary film. I'm not narrating it. I didn't do an interview for it, and I thoroughly enjoyed that whole process of being totally behind the camera, which kind of showed me that, man, if I'm not in front of the camera, that's cool. While at the same time, ironically, I get cast in a movie this year. So I just finished a movie, that independent film that's actually being distributed now, and in some limited theaters around the country before it heads to home video, called Have Faith. And that was fun because I got a chance to act and play a character in a full-length feature, and not have to write it, not have to produce it or direct it. Just show up to the set and just worry about my lines and worrying about being a good actor. Other than that, my focus is really a new comedy special next year that I'm currently writing and determining which city we'll shoot in, and then several other comedians who we've already shot and produced comedy specials for, that will be rolling out in the next, over the next few months. So just really, just the whole process of creating, whether it's comedy, writing, stand-up, acting, or producing and directing. That's really our current focus. I hope I answered that question right.
Yeah. Okay, the film was called Have Faith. Is it available locally?
It's not currently being screened locally. It may come to Columbia. It's being released right now, distributed via what's called platform release, which is market by market. And as it's doing well, it's been going into more theaters, which it has been expanded. So my hope is that it eventually gets here to Columbia, in the theaters in Columbia, and that Columbia will support the film. It's directed and written by a guy named Howard Bell, Habakkuk Films, and I was just glad to be a part of it.
Okay. What look like your career? What would you say your top moment in comedy has been? Your best experience?
Wow, that's a tough one. I guess, my top moment probably would be being on the road with my family, I would say, it's, for me, it blows my mind, and I totally am, you know, thankful and humbled by the fact that I get a chance to make a living, take care of my family, doing what I love. And that the fact that my wife and my children at several times over the years have accompanied me is even awesome. And then and there's been several moments where either, you know, filming my own special or being in front of the thousands of people that I was in front of with Pastor Creflo Dollar, or being at Bishop T.D. Jakes in front of, like, I don't know, thousands and thousands of people at MegaFest. So I don't know exactly what the greatest moment is. I think there's in life, in doing it as long as I've been doing it, you kind of look back on several key moments that you can look back at and say, oh yeah, that was great. I'm glad that happened. I don't know if there's necessarily a one moment. Of course, the very first time that I was on stage, I can look back at as probably, you know, maybe my greatest comedy moment. The first time I heard an audience laugh, you know, maybe that's, I don't know if I've been asked that question. So it was kind of hard for me to answer. I apologize, but that may have been the best. Is the first time I heard a room full of about, you know, a couple hundred people laugh at a comedy club, and I'm like, man, they laugh at something I said, man, and they laughed hard. Okay.
Okay. So kind of explain what, kind of go into what artists can expect when they come to hear you speak at one of your shows.
Well, my focus, anytime somebody comes to any event, you know, whether it's in a church, whether it's in a theater, on a college campus, in a comedy club, wherever it is, my goal is that people literally are bent over, sweating, about to throw up laughing. That's my goal. And so that's why I would tell people, just expect to come in and having a anointed, hilarious, good time laughing, and you won't be offended in the process. And nothing I'll say that will offend you. Now, you might not agree with all of it, but you won't be offended. And but you gonna have a good time, and you can bring everybody. Bring your mama, bring the kids, bring your daddy, your granddaddy, bring the whole family.
So what was going to say your philosophy in life?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
Yeah. What kind of song would you say your life philosophy is?
Living by faith and really desiring to be the best man and man of God, husband, father, friend, citizen that I can be. That's my philosophy. I used to have a lot of other detailed, more structured little slogans and sayings that I used to live by. And although I still do live by those, man, I find that things change so much, and life throws you these switches and curveballs and circumstances. Plus, the longer you live, if you really being honest with yourself, you recognize more how many things you need to change. You recognize the flawed individual that you really are. And in that whole process is you really begin to really consider the adjustments and the shifts and the changes that you need to make. So for me, it's just about being the best AKINTUNDE husband, father, believer, Christian, friend, citizen of this universe that I can be.
Okay. You mentioned you have 5 kids. What are the ages?
My children are 23, 21, 19, 16, and 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boys, girls?
3 boys, 2 girls. It goes in order of boy, boy, girl, girl, boy. Yeah.
Okay.
Say again?
So you're finished with that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have no more kids. Now, you know, the Lord has to speak to me like Abraham to tell me to have some more kids. As far as I'm concerned, it's a wrap. My wife was talking crazy a couple of years ago, and she wanted to have some more kids. I was like, what are you talking about? We on the other side of this. We finished. Why would you want to start out fresh? But yeah, no, we're done with in terms of having new kids. You're never done raising kids. You're always parenting. I'm learning that even as an adult. You parent. Even when you take your hands off and step back, you're still parenting.
Right. Yeah, well, my wife wanted to have a similar conversation like, no, we wanted 3, we got 3, we're done.
Right.
Said, no time to, said, don't need to change that.
Right. No, we're making no adjustments on that.
Okay. So, yeah, I think we got everything.
Okay.
We look forward. We got tickets selling that back. We had 3 people came in to buy and bought double tickets yesterday. So we got about half the bowl full. So I'm just make sure we fill out the other half.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and sell them tickets out. It's always good when it's a sold out event.
Yes. And like I said, we're also building. Yeah, it's an event for the entire family. So. We look forward to it.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about it, brother. Totally excited about it.
All right, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think you're at. You did a event for Coach Fry. I think it was a Christmas party one year.
Fry.
But the USC track coach, didn't you do one of their events, one of the Christmas parties one year?
It might have been somebody else. I don't think so.
Yeah, this would have been like the early, guess around 2002, 2003, around that area.
That's possible. A lot of things happen that I forget. I know I kind of stopped doing private events some years ago, so it's I kind of don't remember nearly as many of those as I used to. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think we got everything.
All right. Well, thank you, sir.
We're riding the product and as part of promotion for the event.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time too, brother. I appreciate the interview.
Yeah, like I said, we like because our motto is positive news for positive community. We always like promoting positive people as well as positive comedians.
Well, thank you, sir. I thank God that I fit into that category.
One more thing. I also kind of go into how people can call you and book you for events.
Sure. Anybody who wants to reach me, they can get me at 1-800-280-0094. My social media is Comedian AKINTUNDE on Facebook, and that's Comedian AKINTUNDE on Instagram or Ak Laughs, Twitter, AK Laughs. And of course, they can always go to my website, which is the easiest way to get in contact with us, which is akintunde.net, AKINTUNDE.net.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we got everything.
All right. Well, thank you, sir, brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.